Check, check, check. All right. I think it's that time. It is 2 o'clock. It is time for Facebook Live with Harding Telecom. And right now, I'm still waiting on people to jump in here. If you're online, you shoot me a message. That'd be great. Today, we're going to have a special guest. Mayor Schertzer is going to pop in here, hopefully any minute. And we'll get this party started. Several things that are happening right now. Of course, you know, in the year of COVID, this is one of our platforms so we can have an event for the kids to participate in. And the way this works is basically they can be part of the stream, or if they can't, I know like some of the kids have other obligations at this time of day, they can always go back and watch it and then leave a comment, and then that gives them credit for being part of the event. So we're going to wait a little bit here. Hopefully we have a guest. In the meantime, I guess I'll just vamp a little bit. If you have any comments or questions, just shoot me. I'm watching the feed on Facebook, several monitors here in the studio. And if you have questions for the mayor, you can pop in and drop me a line. Hopefully he'll be here any minute, and we'll be able to do this thing. It's been quite a week. We had our first official full week of school last week. And by full week, I mean we had our A group on Monday, Tuesday. Wednesday we were off with meetings, and then Thursday, Friday we had our B group, and then this Monday and Tuesday we had our A group. This is online Wednesday, and of course this is what we're doing. I think I
Hello.
Hello. Do you have video by any chance?
No, I cannot get logged in for some reason. It's asking for my password, and I keep putting in my password on my end, and it says it's not the right password. So I'm not sure what to do from here, John.
Okay. Well, you know what? This will still work. Are you on a phone or a computer?
Telephone. Yeah. Telephone.
Okay. And the camera's not letting you do that thing?
On the computer?
Well, it could do it on your phone.
Oh, actually, I'm on a landline phone. Do you want me to?
Oh, it doesn't.
Do you want me to call?
It's totally up to you. If you want to do it this way, this is fine. This is just
No. Let me try you on my cell phone, and if that doesn't work, I'll call you back on a landline.
Fantastic. I'll see you in a bit.
All right. Thanks.
Okay.
Bye.
So the modern fun of Harding Telecom here. A lot of people, I've got a few kids that have just jumped on here, which is great. This is exactly what you're supposed to be doing. I hope you guys can hear me. I'm going to keep you muted for now, and then the mayor's going to jump back on with us here in a second, and we will be up and running, and this will be a good thing. In the meantime, going back to what I was talking about, like I said, Live Stream Wednesdays is just another opportunity for the kids to participate in the class and get credits for their online day. So right now I've got a couple. I've got Gracie and I've got Miguel. Hopefully a few more will jump in here, and we'll have a good old time on Facebook Live. Again, if you're watching on Facebook and you want to shoot us a line, that would be great. Maria has joined us. That's great.
Okay, I'm here, but I don't know how I use my camera.
Okay.
From this perspective.
Huh. Well, you know what?
Because it's just got my... Wait a minute. Not FaceTime. I can do... So FaceTime won't work.
Okay.
I don't know what else to do, John.
Well, you know what? This is okay. I mean, we can still talk, and I can hear you, and our audience can hear you, so... and we'll work out these glitches in the future.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Sounds good.
So, welcome. This is our Facebook Live stream. if you have access to Facebook, you can see it right now as we're watching. And I'm basically in my home studio. I've got several kids online with us right now, so they're kind of watching, and hopefully we'll jump in and maybe have some questions for you at the end. Okay?
Sure. Yep.
Okay. So the first thing, I think the elephant in the room is COVID, of course. And I know, from what we've talked about at school, the trials and tribulations of doing this, but I've just got to imagine that it's just as bad for you.
Well, there's no doubt that it poses challenges for every traditional institution that we have known to rely upon in our lives, and city governments like the schools are no different. We have made adjustments. We were closed down, obviously, at the same time the school closed down last spring. We opened up to the public on or about June 1st. We do require facial coverings inside City Hall,
sure.
And of course we promote all the governor's safety guidelines that exist. But I think the one thing, since we have talked last there at the school, is we have additional security in the lobby of City Hall that we've never had before.
Right.
And if you come into City Hall now, you're going to have to walk through the metal detector, and there are 2 city police officers that are manning that post. There are special duty officers, and the metal detector and the X-ray machine were purchased last January.
Okay. Yeah, I had that experience because I can't remember why, but we were dropping something off at City Hall, and I had to wait outside. My wife was allowed to go in because it was her business, and I had to wait outside. So, which is fine. I mean, no big deal. But that's the world we're living in right now. We got several things to talk about. The first of which I know it just seems like yesterday, but Chief Bill Collins is leaving us, correct?
Well, that is true. And, we knew that this day would come, as it does for all of us, but we were hoping that Chief Collins might hang on through the remainder of this calendar year, and we thought maybe it might be the first of 2021. But on September the 2nd, the chief sent a letter to myself and Safety Director Randy Carrier announcing his retirement. So officially his retirement day will be October the 5th, but he will be out of the office all next week. And what a lot of people don't understand is, how does the next chief of police come in? But before I get to that, I do find it necessary to say some things about Chief Collins.
Sure.
The Chief Collins and I have worked together as a city councilman and a police officer, and then a major. And then while I've been mayor, I got to swear him in as the new chief of police. He has spent just over 31 years, his entire adult professional life, in the law enforcement field. And most people might not know that he comes from a long history of law enforcement within his own family. His father was a Marion City police officer. His brother actually was a Ohio Highway Patrolman, but rose to the top ranks of the Highway Patrol as the colonel of the Highway Patrol before his retirement. He's got a brother-in-law in law enforcement. He's got some nephews in it as well. So there is a steep history of law enforcement in the Collins family tree. But I also want to give kudos to, his personal family, because any time that you are married to a police officer, the family is impacted every bit as much as the officers themselves.
Sure.
So I've known Chris for many, many years, going all the way back to high school. Even I go back that far with the chief of police.
Yeah.
So, my congratulations to Chief Collins, his wife, Chris, on the outstanding work that they have done for in service of the city of Marion. And I know whatever the chief decides to do, and I know he's looking at some things that he has announced, but whatever the future has in store for him, he will be successful no matter what he does. He has really propped up community policing within the Marion City Police Department. Of course, the impact program, Marion Police and Community Together, is probably the biggest thing that he has done in community policing in his 10 years as the chief of police. So I will miss him personally.
Sure.
I will miss him professionally, and I wish him all the luck in the world in his future.
Well, absolutely. Like I say, it seems like yesterday when you swore him in. Time flies.
Well, time flies with having fun, right?
Exactly. Okay. We had some pretty bad weather here a while back. I know on our street we were fortunate not to get any water, but you want to talk about the flash flood a little bit?
Well, I do, but before we go on to that, might I just take the privilege as the mayor to talk about how we install a new chief of police in this process?
Yeah.
Well, there are a lot of people that think that the mayor just gets to decide who the next chief of police is, and that is not the case.
Right.
We are a statutory city. We have a civil service commission, so we follow those procedures to install the next chief of police. Now, what I do have the authority to do is to install an interim chief of police until the new chief of police is installed down the road. And I have done that with the senior most major in our department, and that is Major J. McDonald.
Okay.
He will officially become the interim chief of police on October the 5th, the day that the chief official day of retirement is. And from that point, the three majors that we have, they're the only ones qualified to sit for the chief's test. So there is a test that will be administered to them. Probably the 1st of November is when that test will be, and it has to be competitive. So, for example, if only one of the three majors were remotely interested in being the next chief, that would not be a competitive test. So then we would have to open it up to the lieutenant ranks. But in our case, all three majors are going to sit for the test.
Okay.
That's Major J. McDonald, who will be the interim chief. That's Major Jeff Clewell and Major John Schaefer. So whoever scores the best on the test, because they have reached the rank right below chief and have administrative experience and law enforcement experience, they will become the new chief. So we're looking at probably late December, early January before we will know the outcome of that test that they will take in early November. So it'll be a while before we swear in a new permanent chief of police.
Yeah, but I think everybody should rest easy that the position is filled and things will go on as normal, correct?
Absolutely. We don't anticipate any major changes, even with the interim chief or the new chief, because a lot of good programs have been set in place. The relationship building that the Marion City Police Department has done with our community through community policing has been very successful. We really saw that through some of the protests that we had earlier in the summer, very peaceful protests back in June took place in our community because we've established those relationships with all sectors of our community.
Very good. Well, you want to move on to some weather-related issues?
Sure. And, the weather-related issues is one of the things that the mayor has no control over, believe it or not.
That's right.
May be surprising to some of your viewers and listeners on that. I think most people know that on Labor Day of this year, we had a very high rainfall amount in about a 14-hour period. It came fast and furious on us, and we have partnered with the EMA and Sarah McNamee at the EMA department because the National Weather Service has deemed it a flash flood. Okay, that means the drainage ditches, the streams, and there are more than you think in the city of Marion because they're stormwater drainage. They were topped out, and the city streets had nowhere to drain. So because of the flash flood situation, we have been organizing and taking information and I've declared I guess, kind of a state of emergency in the city because of the flash flood.
Right.
And we don't know yet whether we will be eligible for any state or federal dollars to help out our residents who may have had flood damage to their personal property. So we're still kind of waiting to see on that, but we are following all those channels to see what might be available to us. At the federal level, it would be FEMA.
Right.
And of course, if you've watched the evening news lately,
right.
FEMA's pretty tied up with hurricanes in the Southwest, and they're tied up with forest fires in the West. So we'll see if we can get some eligible dollars into our community because of the flash flood that we saw on Labor Day weekend.
Okay. Now I know here, and you're pretty close to where I live. Quite a few people were lugging stuff out of their basements. We were fortunate, and of course, with me in the studio down here, very lucky that the sump pump kept up with everything.
Well, I think people use their basements for different things than maybe what they were when they were first built. If you live in a house that was built prior to the 1980s, your basement was more of a utilitarian feature on your home, and now most of us have put that man cave or game room for the kids or TV room down there. But often what we fail to do is to protect that investment. For example, I know when the rain recently came, I had water just simply seeping through my cement block walls in my basement. It just seeps through and drips down. You can put dry lock on there to prevent that from happening. You can put a check valve on your sewer lateral to prevent any sewer backup. So, and there are things that you can do with your homeowner's insurance to protect any damage if you have that. And those are unfortunately the kinds of things that we need to do, but many people don't do, which is to protect the environment that you have put in your basement.
Yeah, I know we have a sump pump and then a backup emergency sump pump that's hooked up to it too. So, yeah, I
always a good practice.
Absolutely. Okay, let's move on. How about the census is a big deal this year. You keep hearing about it in the news. How is that affecting us here in Marion?
Well, the census, how it will affect us in Marion, we need to get as accurate as we humanly possibly can account of all the residents that live in the city and the county, because it impacts the federal dollars that come in. For example, it could impact the Marion City Schools on federal dollars that they may be eligible for. The city of Marion gets what they call a community development block grant. Those are all federal dollars. And so that's why it's impactful to the city government and county government as well. That most people don't realize that the census taking is in the United States Constitution, and it is a law that you have to participate in the census. Now, I'm not aware of anybody that's ever been prosecuted by not participating. However, I will tell you that I just got a census report. And in Ohio, this was an Ohio census statistic that I just saw. And what was it? About 90% high 90% of Ohio residents have reported to the census. Now, 70-some-odd% of those did it via email or online. Which we obviously have the ability to do. So now what we're seeing over the course of the next maybe 2 weeks, I think it is census takers might be knocking on your door and asking you questions. So we don't want our residents to be, caught off guard because a census taker knocks on their door. It's law, it's in the Constitution, and I would encourage everybody to participate to make sure that we're maximizing our federal dollars coming into our community.
And that's beneficial to everybody. So
to everybody.
Yeah, and I know I did mine online. So would they still stop by, or do they know? I mean, do they have like a checkoff sheet or anything?
They really should have a checkoff sheet, and they should know whether you did it online or not, but there may be those rare occasions where it hasn't synced up with the census taker out on out in the field, and the master computer back at home base.
Okay. So everybody should definitely pay attention to that census. I think mine was out early. I mean, I think I did mine months ago, I think.
Yeah, and actually they started this process way earlier this year, and I think they all fell behind with the pandemic. I mean, again, we talked at the top of the show. It threw everybody for a loop, including the census taker. So,
okay. We have some cleanup events going on around town. You want to talk about that?
I will, and this is a very specific cleanup event in a particular neighborhood, and we have really changed the way we do these. What we used to do is we used to just let the ward council people, they would reach out to, say, Taft Elementary School, and we would put dumpsters in the parking lot at, say, Taft Elementary, and the council person would notify his ward that you can, bring certain trash items, clean out your garage, your basement, your shed, things like that, and bring them to the school. And we just didn't think that we were getting a lot of participation. So what we've done is kind of set up a micro cleaning day. We're actually coming into your neighborhood.
Yeah.
And we did this on Decatur Street back in early August. We picked up 600 abandoned, discarded tires just off that street. We removed dozens of junk cars in people's yards, not on the city street, but we did remove a junk car off of the city street.
Oh, my.
And we helped pick up 33 tons of trash just on one single street on 2 days.
That is crazy.
So what we're... It's amazing. And that just shows how successful these micro cleanups can be. So we're going to start tomorrow, September 24th, 9 a.m. to 3:30 p.m., and September 25th, Friday, from 9 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. And we are going to do this micro cleanup on Polk Street, Jefferson Street, Fleetwood, Michigan, Kentucky, Adams, and a little bit of Mark Street and Grand Street, North Grand Street. So that sounds like a lot of streets, but really those are very short streets, and a lot of them kind of connect to one another in a small city block. So we're going to bring the dumpsters right out on those streets. We're going to have about a dozen volunteers, and that's something different too, is we actually have people that will be there. They'll have T-shirts on. They're kind of like a fluorescent green, if you will, and they say staff on the back with a logo on the front. We appreciate one of the local shops here in town donated those. So you'll see those folks out on the street. We kind of had a small town hall meeting at the Mount Zion Baptist Church last week, and to notify and invite the residents that live there. And so what you'll be able to do is you may have to show proof of residency, but of course, if we're knocking on your door and you're pointing out things to throw away, we know you live there.
Right.
But we will accept tires, and we will not take your regular trash, because obviously you have a regular trash day, and we will not accept hazardous waste or materials. So, but we'll take things like old construction material, old lawn furniture, your old Barker lounger that's been broken down and in the basement for years.
Appliances?
So we'll take just about anything.
So you take appliances?
Small appliances.
Okay.
We're not going to be able to take a refrigerator, but we may be able to take the occasional dishwasher, stove, etc.
Right. And then there's also like old TVs and stuff like that. Those tend to have chemicals and things that they don't want.
Yes. Unfortunately, we can't do TVs either. Sometimes the Delaware, Knox, Marion, Morrow County Solid Waste District will have a special cleanup for electronics like TVs and computers and such. But not on these days. We won't be able to do that, unfortunately.
Okay. Well, that's always a good event, and again, for that area, they'll have a great benefit of getting rid of some stuff. Let's move
Absolutely.
on. Senior Center. They've been having a hard time with this COVID thing, I would imagine.
Well, we realized very early on that many of our seniors were some of the most vulnerable when
Right.
it came to the COVID-19. And so we immediately, that was the first thing that we closed down in city government. And now the governor has allowed us to open up, but only under certain conditions. And unfortunately, those conditions are really just prohibiting us from opening up our local senior center. For example, if you want to come inside the senior center, we have to test you, and you have to be clear of COVID-19.
Sure.
Well, the problem is there's no quick testing method to do that. It can take 24, 48, hours or more before we get your test screenings back.
Yeah.
So it just didn't make sense for us to open up, but we're continuing the transportation services, the food delivery services, and any service that we can continue to provide out of our senior center, we're going to do it. But as of right now, we're going to just keep that pause button pushed and letting
Right.
seniors come inside and do some of the other activities that they have done for many years.
Yeah, definitely better safe than sorry.
Yep.
Yeah. We just had a school board meeting the other day, and they were talking about the CARES Act funding and how I think you, and working with city government, we might be getting some internet access. Is that correct?
So, yeah, the CARES Act was a federal law legislation, and then the money gets passed down to the state, then it's distributed out to local governments, county, city, village, township, etc. And to date, we have received almost $1.3 million in CARES Act money. The issue we have is we can't spend that on anything we want. We can't pay people with that. So there are certain requirements the federal government has, and one of them is connectivity and improving your technology. Since council has been Zoom meetings for about 4 months now.
Don't I know it?
We just didn't have the devices. Everybody
Right.
was using their own personal device, and that's probably not the best thing to do if
Right.
it's part of your job. But we met with the city schools a couple Fridays ago and said, hey, you're having trouble connecting with your hybrid style of learning for many of your student body. We're having trouble getting internet service out to the wastewater treatment plant or a police officer out in the field. And we thought, this is a qualifiable expense with CARES Act dollars. How can we partner with our partners already? And the Marion City Schools, the Marion Health Department, and the county sheriff were two areas that we're looking at partnering with. And we're hopeful that we can create a better internet over the city to make it easier for the Marion City School students to keep up on their homework
Right.
and their assignments when they're not in school.
Yeah. And I'm sure they're all happy to hear that. I've got, 6 or 7 online with us right now.
Yeah, I don't know how quickly we'll be able to get that set up. We have to have the money encumbered. I believe it's by October 15th.
Okay.
That's not very far away.
No.
Now, encumbered doesn't mean spent, though.
Right.
We have to have it spent by December the 30th. So we're rushing right now in partnership with your IT department
Right.
to see if we can get this set up and get it encumbered and get the contractors in here to get up what we need to improve the internet service for city, school students, and city government.
Right.
This would not be for Joe and Jane citizen out there, unfortunately.
Right. But again, if you have kids, you're going to be a benefactor of it. So
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yep.
We need to be thankful for that. I've had a couple people ask me about trick or treat, a couple kids and stuff. What is the plans for Marion City and trick or treat?
Well, that's a good question because I just saw on the news the other night that the CDC is recommending that you don't.
Right.
I know the governor's office is putting out guidelines. trick or treat is a unique situation here in the city of Marion. It's set by city law.
Right.
The mayor doesn't have the authority to change the time or the day. So as of right now, trick or treat is set by law, and we will have that on October 31st, which is a Saturday,
yep,
from 5:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. But what we are going to do is we are going to suggest that you follow the governor's guidelines for trick-or-treating and even the CDC's
right,
guidelines for trick-or-treating. Obviously, those are the things that we're all aware of. You wear a mask, you social distance. You don't put your hand in the candy
right,
bowl, but you let the person hand you the candy and put
right,
it in your bag or your jack-o'-lantern or whatever the case
right.
may be.
Well, I even heard, I heard a recommendation about
Yep.
just leaving like a bowl out on your porch if you're going to distribute candy, then to let like a self-serve kind of thing. So there's
Well, and that's good for the homeowner, but that's not good for the kids who are all sticking their hands
well, that's
in that
true.
bowl.
That's true.
So I think we need to think of the young trick-or-treaters who are sticking their hands in the bowl. I would hope that mom and dad would carry a lot of hand sanitizer around with them on Saturday, October 31st.
Right, and I think they also recommended that you do wipe down everything that you pick up, even
Yep.
before unwrapping and
Yep.
so on and so forth. So, yeah, we haven't thought that far ahead in terms of what we're going to do for Halloween, in terms of like as
I know
somebody who likes to distribute candy, but I don't know. I don't know what we're going to do. I would imagine most people are going to be like that, and I would probably look for a lot of maybe private organizations like churches or clubs doing some type of Halloween event. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out
and
there.
those kinds of events have gotten very popular over the last few years.
Right.
Certainly, they were not that way when you and I were trick or treating back in the day.
Well, we used to do it in the dark. I mean,
Yeah, well, it'll be dark by 7:30.
well, that's true. We are losing our daylight quickly here. Well, I hope everything's going well for you. I'm glad you were able to jump in with us on this. This is, like I say, what we're doing here, since obviously we can't do our normal events, and like normally you would come in for our City Journal show and we would have Coach's Corner. Obviously, we can't do those things with the COVID situation. So this is just an opportunity for my kids to jump in on their online day and participate. And so I thank you for jumping in with us.
Absolutely, always willing and able. I know we wanted a video feed, and we'll get that sorted out the time we do it. But yeah, I look forward to the next time, and we'll continue to do this and keep our residents and your viewers informed as much as we possibly can.
Very good. Well, I thank you again for joining us, and we'll see you down the road here.
Okay. Stay safe. Stay healthy.
Yep. You too. Thank you. Okay.
Right, bye.
Special thanks to Mayor Schertzer for jumping in on our live stream. And thank you all for joining us. I know we had a few people jump in on here. We had several students jump in, so thank you guys for being on the stream. So now what you'll want to do. Yeah, there you go. And so now what they want to do is, just leave me a comment in the classroom or in the discussion board. And anybody have any questions?
Yeah, we had the comments still, even though we joined.
Yeah, I just leave me some kind of feedback. Nothing overly wordy. I'm going to put you on. You ready?
Oh, okay.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
I said A.
Solana. Turn your ew, Grace, you're ugly.
What up, gang?
Why don't you have your cameras on?
Yeah, you're on.
Leave me alone.
You guys are live, so.
Turn the camera on, Goofy.
Okay, if you have Facebook up, and I see Maria does, you can see yourselves on the feed.
I'm gonna put Facebook up.
So you're on one side, and I'm on the other side.
I ain't pulling it up.
So.
Solana, turn your camera on, boy.
Wait, what do we look up on Facebook?
So basically, what's that? It's me, John Mullins.
Mr. Mullins, what do we look up?
John Mullins.
What do we look up on Facebook?
Me.
John Mullins, boy. Guys, turn your cameras on.
Okay, you don't have to turn your camera on unless you want to be on. You can. So anyway, okay. Before I lose complete control of this whole insanity, just to recap for you guys, the things we touched on was the retirement of the police chief, flash floods, the census, cleanup events around town, the senior center, the CARES Act, and how the internet is going to be distributed through this through a grant for the city government and the city schools, which is nice. And then we touched on trick or treat for a little bit. So those are the things you can respond back to me on. And again, anybody in our audience that wants to respond to this can reach me through the city schools email, jmullins@mcspresidents.org. And next week, you guys listening? Next week we are going to have Paul James from iHeartMedia, local radio stations. And he's going to come on and talk to us about broadcasting and what it's like and his career and all that kind of fun stuff. And, of course, you can ask him questions then, too. So, anybody else have any questions about anything? I'm going to take that as a no. I see a lot of them have muted. So, we're going to call...
So, wait, we can comment about trick-or-treating?
What's that? Comment about trick-or-treating? Yes, you can. Okay, everybody say goodbye.
Your face is live.
Okay, we're gonna.
I don't even know where I'm just comment.
We're gonna log off here. I'm gonna turn them down. Okay, it's a little bit quieter now without the class. This is what my life is like. Let me go back here to just me. Okay, so another show in the books. Just thank you to everybody that's tuned in. Again, we will archive this on our YouTube channel, and I will share that link out to everybody. In the meantime, every Wednesday at 2 p.m., we will do a live stream. Next week's guest is Paul James, and I think we have a few more special guests lined up, and I will get those out as we get confirmation of those people and who they're going to be. So, tune in next week. See you next Wednesday at 2 p.m. for Telecom Live on Facebook.